We're back in the reel. This is your host, Eric. Co-hosting with me is Jen. We are missing one person this evening, Cheryl. She has decided to adventure out with some gentleman caller situations. Maybe that's not the best way to describe it. But,
sounds a little dirty.
A little dirty.
She's on a date.
Yeah, she's on a date. We can be dirty on this show, though. We're not FCC regulated and broadcast. But some fun, exciting news to tell. We got some seriously fun packaging today from Amazon. Got some new mics that we're not using. They're just sitting there for guests, waiting for some cables. But we did get some other arms for other people to use. We got a cat down here today.
We have a cat here today, and she's making a lot of noise, so I don't know how much is going to be picked up.
Oh, jeez. This is going to be a good show.
Go away.
Well, we got some arm extensions for the microphone, so Jen's kind of talking more directly into her mic, which is nice. And Cheryl has some fucking great mic technique, so...
It's in front of my face, so I don't have to lean over like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Right. I'm kind of still doing that, and I don't really want to move my mic right now. But the other really cool piece of equipment we got was a mixer. This really huge mixer by Behringer. It's more than what we need for our little amateur pissant show here, but I like it. I've been playing with it for a couple of days. It's got some amazing sound effects. I'm not going to screw with that right now.
Eric likes electronics.
Yeah, I do.
If you want to make him happy, just give him a super technical piece of electronic equipment, and he's happy.
I'll screw with that all damn day and be happy with it. We got a bunch of headsets and whatnot, and the next time we do video to our podcast, you'll see it all. And I'm working on kind of putting a picture together of what we kind of deal with. We have the most trailer park / ghetto makeshift studio set up here you wouldn't believe that Jen really doesn't like in a photo. And I'll describe it to you. I mean, if you've noticed, all of our icons in the video have had something to do with a round table, something round. In the moon one, I've been trying to keep things to round stuff because primarily the three of us sit around a round table, and we're talking in the reel, which is also a reel is circular. So, and it's kind of this go around thing. So I've been trying to keep it to that.
So is this actual real round table, not just a simile or metaphor or whatever?
Right.
I mean, it's an actual antique round table with creaky chairs, which I'm sure you've all heard. I don't know if anyone can hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's antique stuff that we're sitting on in our basement.
Right. And now we have a square table next to it, so when guests come in, we're not crowded at this table because we don't have one mic in the center anymore.
Right, but I'm going to get them a new table because they can't use my mother's antique table for that.
Well, we can.
If they scratch that shit, I'm going to kill them.
It's already scratched, but we want to preserve as much as possible.
Right.
So we'll get a covering on there.
Now the cats are fighting.
Perfect. So today we're taking a break from the Making of a Murder, or Making a Murder, I think the actual title is, from the Netflix show. And
Cheryl's not with us, so we're going to do something kind of a little bit lighter and funner. Well, I don't know about lighter, but funner.
Yeah, lighter, funner could be one way or the other. If we come to blows here because of accusations, that might be a little something different. We're going to talk about it. It kind of came up because our local morning radio show, one of them, I should say, we have a few here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, is the KQRS morning show with Tom Bernard and the crew. I guess their actual titling is. They had a guest on that was talking about alcoholism, and the host, Tom Bernard himself, has roughly about a year ago, I think, stopped consuming alcohol. So they were talking about alcoholism, what it was about. And since Cheryl isn't here, I'm gonna pound on her for being an alcoholic. But
boy.
She can't defend herself. But it's not that I wouldn't tell her the stuff to her face, so it's not like I'm hiding anything. I've probably already said most of it in a very cruel manner anyway. But we're going to talk about some of the aspects of alcoholism. And we're going to read off some research that we've done and information that we've gathered. Mm-hmm. And while we are setting up for this here. I don't know if you have any additional stuff to set up for, but Jen actually wants to get some wine. So while we're talking about alcoholism here, we're going to be consuming alcohol. I'm about 2/3, 3/4 of a bottle into one, and feeling pretty good. So I'm going to put our equipment on pause here. And if you've noticed, my voice is different from the other ones, our other podcasts. First of all, we had a single mic show to a multiple mic show, and now we've got the mixer, and we did some adjustment on that, and I really like my
Anybody
voice
that
right
doesn't
now.
know what a mixer is, because all this technical stuff that he's into, I'm like, la, 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 la. Even though I work in IT, la, 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 when it comes to equipment, because I work in software. I'm like, we have a mixer now. It's like a big board of like all these controls, and I literally just know how to work 3 of them now because he just trained me.
3 buttons.
3 of the little buttons that
The high,
you
the
spin
mid, and the
around.
low
Right.
equalizer aspect. And not
Pretty
the
much
full
it.
EQ that's also on there.
Right.
So really, a mixer, if you don't know what a mixer is, and you can Google it if you want, but it's a piece of audio equipment that typically is in a music studio or a podcast. And most people, if they have a small podcast like we do, 4 to 8, they get a 8-channel one. Well, I got a really big one because I wanted that one and all the fun shit that's on it.
Are you touching yourself right now? Because it kind
A
of
little
feels like
bit.
you're touching yourself.
A little bit. But it allows you to alter the voice or clean up the voice in the channel for each microphone that's connected, and you can add effects to each one and whatnot. So that's really what it is. Yeah, it's good equipment. It's fun stuff. And to get a little more professional sounding here, and because we've had, actually I checked it earlier today, our listeners for YouTubers like at 247.
Woo!
Yeah,
Thank
for
you,
everything.
YouTube listeners.
So thank you for that. We are also on Facebook now. I just put a page on there, and it's linked on YouTube. I think I got the link on YouTube, as well as you can just search on there for In the Reel and hopefully find me. I couldn't find it yesterday, but go from YouTube. I should put a link in the description. I'm pretty sure I did, so click on that. Like us there if you would, please. So we're going to take about a 5-minute break here, so we're pausing. You won't notice it much, and we're going to come back and start in with our fun stuff with alcoholism. So, ladies and
while we're
gentlemen,
drinking.
Yeah, while we're drinking. So we'll be right back. Well, folks, as mentioned, it's probably been about 3 seconds for you listening to this, but it was a couple of minutes for her. We're all back here. So just getting organized with our alcoholism podcast topic today. We did some independent research on the web, and we'll try to be as conscientious as we can to announce where our research came from, and printed off a few things and made a few notes, and we're going to talk about them. I have about 4 of them.
I have about 4 pages of notes and a printed off article.
One of mine is an actual Am I an Alcoholic self-test. Now, it's 2 pages long, and you can go to, this is a huge web address. It is, I'm not going to give you the HTTPS, well, I just did there, but anyway, ncadd.org/get hyphen help /take hyphen the hyphen test /m hyphen I hyphen alcoholic hyphen self hyphen test.
That's the most boring thing I've ever heard in my life.
Web addresses. Great stuff. Well, on there they have a little 2-page test that I had to take because they had an X button at the bottom, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything, so I took it.
Okay.
And I remember my answers because only one of them was a yes, the rest were no's.
Oh boy. Okay.
So I'm not gonna do the whole test off the start. We'll just kind of, feed it in here a little bit. And I know my results, and I'll give those at the end of it. But later on, you can go online and fill in your results, Jen, and find out what it says.
Okay.
And it said I only had one concerning response, which was the yes question I answered.
Okay.
So, now, let's just be clear. This is not taking the place of getting a professional evaluation.
True. None of this is.
This is just our personal research. So, if you're having issues, get it addressed, because life doesn't need to be lived that way. Okay, so I'll give about 5-6 questions, and I'll mark what my answer is and mark what you respond to. Okay, they're all yes or no questions. Number 1, do you try to avoid family or close friends while you are drinking?
No.
Yep, and that's also my response was no. I'm just figuring out how to mark these now. Number 2, do you drink heavily when you are disappointed, under pressure, or have had a quarrel with someone?
Yes.
And no for me.
Well, I guess we know you're one. Yes. Oh, no, we don't.
Not yet.
Nope, you're still no. Never mind.
Number 3, can you handle more alcohol now than when you first started to drink?
Not sure.
Not sure?
Not sure.
Yeah, I need to actually put my initial there instead of a stupid Y. I don't know what the hell I'm doing there. Well, I know from actually I can handle it less now. So, I would judge you as a yes, but it's
I'm
really
Irish.
hard to tell. So it's tough to call. We have to answer a yes or no for the test.
I can drink people under the fucking table, but I could even as a teenager.
Right.
So that I really don't know.
So we'll put a question mark for Jen.
Okay.
All right. Have you ever been unable to remember part of the previous evening, even though your friends say you didn't pass out?
Yes.
I had a yes to that.
You did. That's your yes?
Because I know for a fact, sometimes I'm like, there's a gap in there I don't recall very well. And then when somebody tells me, I'm like, yeah, that seems accurate. It might take an hour or so, and I'm like, yeah, I think that happened. But I can't say it for certain.
Okay.
And
yep, that's qualifying.
Right. And sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah.
Qualificating is what I said. Qualifying.
And there are some times I'll be like, yeah, I'm not really sure. And like the next day I'm like, oh fuck, that did happen. Mm-hmm. You know, it'll like come to me eventually.
Right.
So
me too.
But yeah, so for me, I marked that as yes because that was the most accurate. When drinking with other people, do you try to have a few extra drinks when others won't know about it?
No.
And I also have no there.
I'm very open about it.
Sure. Do you sometimes feel uncomfortable if alcohol is not available?
Yes.
And I have a no for that for myself.
And in uncomfortable situations, I do feel uncomfortable because I think it would be easier.
Right. And for myself, in public situations, going to a bar, anything like that, I'm uncomfortable. But I'm not looking for the liquor.
Right.
It's not that it wouldn't necessarily help. I just don't want that. It's not going to fix it, and I know it isn't.
For me, it's not like, because you've seen me, I can go to a bar and not drink. That's not the issue for me. It's in a personal situation where you're literally sitting somewhere going, like your Aunt Julia's funeral. I felt uncomfortable that there was no liquor because there's a bunch of people that I don't know.
Sure.
I feel very nervous and very unconfident. And I'm talking to some people that I'm not interested in talking to at all, like some of your sisters that I haven't talked to in years. And I really had wished there would have been a bar there to make it easier.
Well, I can say my feelings are probably similar, but I didn't have the thoughts of, I need a drink or I wish there was a bar here. I didn't have that, even though I was very uncomfortable and really... Right. I would have rather not been there or been
at
there.
All.
Right. Or, because maybe she wouldn't be dead. Well, I can admit that.
That would have been even better, right?
But along the lines of, I'd rather come here by myself for 10 minutes and then all's good. But yeah. Okay, so one more question and then we'll discuss some stuff and we'll come back to the test. Are you more in a hurry to get your first drink of the day than you used to be?
I would say no.
I also have a no for that one.
I can wait. Actually, the longer I wait, the better off I am.
Okay, that makes kind of sense.
And I know that.
Sure,
so
sure.
I'm perfectly fine waiting.
Over the hump kind of thing?
It's like don't start drinking at like 4 p.m. That's a bad idea.
If I can wait till 9,
right.
then I can just
9
pass
a.m.
p.m. I was trying to be kind. I can wait till 9 p.m. and I can just say, fuck it, I'll just go to bed in an hour. It's all right.
Well, one thing my family used to say is they'd say, it's noon somewhere. It's a bad thing, but it
is
kind of the saying, in an Irish family. Okay, On holiday, you get it, but it's noon somewhere.
Even on vacation, I'm not. It's like I don't need a drink here. To me, it's just not important.
I don't want it in the morning. When we're on vacation, there's like so many things that we need to do. We need to be focused for. I'm not looking forward to that.
I say want to be focused for.
Right.
I don't want that mental distraction of a chemical and pairing things. Because there's things I want to see. Things
You're
I
hiking.
learn.
We're looking at things. You need to be alert and aware. No, you're not even thinking about that till later.
Right. Absolutely, I would agree with that. Well, I did the test thing here. You want to start with some of your findings here? Because I have some other fun stuff too.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of start with the clinical part of the clinical definition of it is it's one of the most common psychiatric disorders. It's hereditary, and they call it a disease, which we'll talk about later because I'm still not convinced that it's an actual disease. I think it really is a disorder.
And that's kind of what kind of clued off the thing for us to do this podcast is that
is it a disease or is it a disorder? Because a disorder can be changed. If people can change the way that they're thinking, then why isn't it classified as a disorder instead of a disease? A disease you can't help.
Right.
This you can. So I'm kind of confused by that.
Right, and by explaining it that way, that you can help it, and things that you can help, I think there are people that have difficulty with being able to change that. And it's not that they don't change it, but mentally, it's just a fight and a struggle constantly.
Well, and I think that's the other reason we decided to have this podcast is because I personally have a struggle deciding to change this behavior in my own life. So when you're talking an actual dysfunction, right? A personality dysfunction or a disease, you can't change a dysfunction or a disease. You can change a disorder.
Sure. Disorder, I guess, by what we're describing here, I would chalk up as being habitual. And I don't mean to say it that way to put it in a light way that it's simple.
It's a pattern of brain thoughts and processes and perspectives that you actually can change if you're aware of them.
Right.
Like narcissistic personality disorder is considered a disorder because it can be changed. However, with that being said, it's highly unlikely somebody that has it is going to be willing to change because their entire life is built on blocking everything out that's reality.
Nonetheless, do they even understand or know that that's the way they are?
But that's still considered a disorder.
Sure.
So why is alcoholism, which something that has been successfully changed or blocked out by people that have it, why is that still considered a dysfunction or a disease?
Right. And that makes sense. I guess I can't disagree with that perspective and the way you're describing it. It just sounds very logical to me. Sorry about the thunderstorms.
You gotta mute your phone.
Forgot to mute my microphone.
So another thing that they say, it's
good points though.
Frequently,
I want you to say that.
Thank you. That's actually high points from Eric.
I don't praise much.
No, not at all.
Although I might think it, I don't say it. Maybe. Yeah. Anyway.
So it's frequently accompanied by other substance abuse or disorders or dysfunctions like anxiety and mood disorders, along with antisocial personality disorder or any kind of substance abuse, like if somebody's using pot, meth, heroin, whatever, coke.
Sure.
It's just hand in hand, basically, is what they're saying. They say serious drinkers usually develop between the ages of 15 and 19 years old for alcoholics. When was the first time you drank anything? Not as an alcoholic or not as somebody that has a problem, just the first time you've ever had a drink.
The very first consumption of alcohol that I can recall was probably preteen. Might have been a sip of beer or something to that effect. But I also remember right around the same time for New Year's Eve, parents gave me a screwdriver very weak one. But for a child, a weak one is a serious one.
Yes.
One of them, and it was the typical screwdriver in the low ball.
Yep.
It wasn't a whole lot. It was more like a small orange juice glass.
Yep. With just a tiny bit of liquor in it.
Right.
Yep.
With an ice cube on top of it. That hammered me. I was passed out. I woke up after the new year. It was like 1:45 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I think I had that drink at about 9 o'clock. And I probably passed out around 10 or something. I couldn't manage that. It knocked me right out that young. And it wasn't like it was a drink made like my dad was having at the time. But for
I think
young
they
body,
strategically planned it like that.
Maybe they wanted to shut me
Make
up.
you guys all of you.
Oh no, nobody
knock
else
the
got
kids
one.
Out. Oh, nobody, just you.
Just me.
And now you know why Eric's sisters hate him.
Yeah, It's all my fault. Let's get the boy drunk.
It's not your fault. It's your parents' fault.
Right. Well, if you're going to place a blame, it most certainly wasn't mine. It was the responsible parties, which were the parents.
We got to make a man out of this dude.
Well, and let's be honest. While I was out, I don't know what was happening. Maybe they had some. I have no idea.
Right. We'd have to ask your sisters, which I'm not willing to do.
And I don't care. So that was my very first experience that I can recall. After that, I probably had a sip of beer here and there. Mm-hmm. Nothing substantial till probably 15, which I'm estimating.
That's
5-6 years.
Right, that's within the alcoholic development stages. But your parents weren't super big drinkers.
No, not at all.
Right,
and had a pool party with a party ball of beer. Got so hammered, puked everywhere. Don't remember half of it. And it's not like I enjoyed that. It was just all right, whatever.
When was that?
That was probably age 16.
Okay.
That's my early experiences of really having alcohol. But I got hammered a few times that was not good, but it wasn't everything that was just constant for me. So.
Okay. Well, for me, it was a little different. I mean, I think my dad gave me my first sip at like, what was that, harmonics? Do you hear that harmonics thing? Whoa.
I do hear it.
I hope the audience doesn't hear that. Might be our new equipment.
Might be.
Anyway, so my dad gave me the first sip of beer probably around like 11. And, is that the movie upstairs? It's the movie upstairs.
This is amazing. So I'm putting a movie on a computer upstairs, and we can hear that through the damn floor. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna fix that, and I can't remember the movie. Hey, we got some background sounds here. That's awesome.
Wow.
Probably sounds like shit to the listeners.
It sounds like da-da, da-da. Jen's telling her story. Da-da, da-da, da-da.
Drama.
Jaws. Right.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
Okay, so well, look at this. We're 23 minutes in. Second break. We'll be back in a moment. And we're back. Seinfeld reference. Kramer. Took care of the movie. So, yeah, continuing on. Let's try to make some progress here.
So I was talking about the first time my dad gave me a sip of his beer. I think I was like 11 or something. And I so much wanted to be with him. He expected me to say that's disgusting. And I went, that's good. And he goes, well, that worries me.
And proven to be a correct worry.
Nice. Yes. We'll get to that later. Anyway, so they say between the ages of 15 and 19 years old, you kind of develop the alcoholic nature. I have to say, between 15 and 19 years old, I was drinking heavily to the point where I was like going into my mom's garage and stealing alcohol and partying with my friends, skipping school. Yeah.
So she kept the alcohol in the garage, or you stole the alcohol and brought it to the garage?
No, it was in the garage. That's
really?
Why we went there. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because it was being hidden from us teenage kids when my parents were in a divorce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they knew that we were kind of stealing it. I mean, we go to my Aunt Terry's house and there'd be wine coolers missing. They're like, did you kids drink this? We were like, no. They're like, okay. And they knew.
You remember when wine coolers came in a 2-liter bottle?
Yes, I do. I also remember
cheap.
Boone's Farm.
Yeah.
Very precisely.
I'll tell you, I wouldn't drink one now. I think the last time I had one was like, fucking A, this is like
disgusting.
a sugar bottle. It's like Kool-Aid with a drop of alcohol in it.
Oh, God, it was gross.
But the first time you gave it to me, it was like for $3. Oh, hell, this is nice. This is great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, not now.
No.
No good.
Yep, so that was pretty much my thing. We were hiding it, then we got to age, and, drinking is just kind of a part of my family. That's what we do. Yes, we have alcoholism in the family. Big Irish Catholic family. It just what I guess is normal for us.
That's what happens. Well, it's. I don't think it's a positive thing to.
No, it's not positive.
To put the stereotype.
But it's normal.
But it is. It's
for us.
I hate to say it's kind of a reality. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. Not to say that every Irish person you run into is an alcoholic or a drinker, or that they're not an alcoholic as defined or outside of what's defined and just can handle drinking a lot. It's not to say that is the case. It just happens to be when you run into an Irish person, odds are they can handle a lot of alcohol.
Well, and that's just genetics.
Yeah,
like you could probably handle rum a lot better than I can because of your Puerto Rican background.
Right.
But you're not going to be able to handle whiskey like me.
Probably, yeah. I can't even stand the taste of that stuff. But in again, here's another aspect of that stereotype: Asian people, they can suck down that alcohol like you wouldn't believe. We've seen some of our Asian friends.
Oh my God!
They can drink for hours, and they even talk about what they can consume, and they're fine.
Mm-hmm. No hangover, no nothing.
They're functional as can get two bottles of juice and they're good.
$150 bottles of Remy Martin XO, right?
I think so, yeah.
It's like $150 a bottle, and they can down like 3 and be fine the next day.
And half a case of Heineken.
Right, chase it with Heineken.
And no big deal.
No, nothing. And that's how they party every night. They go to bed at like 11 o'clock, get up at 5 a.m.
Right. Do that 4 days a week, and heavier a couple other days a week. Die later on in life, and their liver's fine. Mm-hmm. It's just genetic, like you pointed out, genetics. There's just something to it that is manageable, in people's genes, and that's great. That so be it.
But I think the problem comes in when there's the anxiety and mood disorders, the antisocial personality disorder, and the extra substance abuse.
Right.
That's kind of what they're talking about.
Correct, and not to. It seems to be along these lines here. What I look at it is when you're utilizing a chemical to get to zero, which zero I guess I'm defining as a norm for you, a comfort level. That to me is a problem. If you can't cope without the chemical to get back to zero, you might have some issues happening. That's my take on it. But
and my take on it is, what if zero is not good enough for you?
Well, that could be. I mean, you've mentioned it a few times, the anxiety thing. I have anxiety.
A mood disorder. I mean,
right.
What if like being at zero makes you bored?
And that could make sense. Just on some of the things, anxiety. I have anxiety all day, every day. And sometimes it's worse than others. I've walked around the building at work with heart palpitations. I'm just anxious, and there hasn't been a root cause. Sometimes it's boredom. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's anticipating the 75 things I want to do later that I know in which I'm only going to get 2. But then there's 75 things tomorrow, which now I have to add on 73. It's just that'll just rile me up, and it's only 8 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I can't sit anymore, and I got to move. Mm-hmm. And then I'm walking, sweating in my business attire, and
which is a full suit, people, right. In a business casual environment. We're IT, we do not dress up, and he wears a full suit every day.
Well, I'm a professional, damn it. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
and people fear you because of that, which I actually like.
Yeah, me too. But and that'll happen. But even in those situations, for me, I don't want to drink to solve the problem. It's not that a drink wouldn't calm me down. I know it would. I don't want to.
You just don't have that compulsion.
Yeah, and I guess it's a good way to put it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. What else you got there?
So, they're saying the signs of
I saw
alcoholism.
the signs.
I saw the signs. It's not even the right tune. I know that. I have to have the music playing in the background, so I apologize for anybody listening.
Bleeding at the ears, Pacino.
Pretty much. Pacino.
Little Dane cook.
All right, Chewbacca. All right. So the signs of alcoholism is heavy regular consumption, heavy cigarette smoking. I do both.
Yeah.
Other substance abuse like pot, coke, sedatives, like hypnosis drugs, anxiety drugs, etc. Don't have any of that. Do you have any of that?
I don't take anything even for a damn headache.
Okay. And I know you don't have heavy regular consumption at all.
No.
Although you do drink a bottle every time you do drink, just because Cheryl and I can't deal with your shit, so you need to get rid of it.
Let's be now. We get some wine. We mentioned the St. Clair winery before,
And the Tombstone.
And Tombstone.
Silver Strike.
And from St. Clair, I think there's probably a guesstimate here, 6, maybe a dozen total of their wines we have not tried, and strictly because I know they're sweet wines and I know I'd have to drink them and I don't have an interest in what they are.
Right.
But we've nearly tried every other wine they had, roughly October, November. Mm-hmm. We got a 5K shipment, and a lot of them happen to be a little bit more sweet than preferred by you and Cheryl. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I want a sweet wine. I can just, I'll tolerate it. After probably one glass, they're really just sugary after that to me. I lose a lot of the flavor, which is a downfall, but yeah, I'll still drink it because it's still good.
And those sweet wines to me, the Moscato, the Riesling, all that stuff, it's the table wine, the sweet table wine, like it's literally like grape juice on steroids to me.
Right.
It's so unbelievably sweet that it's undrinkable.
But your tolerance of the sweet is even lower.
It's very low because I drink Chardonnay, which is the harshest of the white wines, which I love. And I really love the red wines. I love the sour. I love the tannin. You don't like that.
Right.
I don't mind
the flavor in there. I don't want the tannin. That just destroys it for me. But
right. And I don't mind the tannin. I like the wines that don't have the tannin. In actuality, I actually learned to prefer them without the tannin. Sure. But I can deal with the tannin. I'm down with that bitterness, that earthiness.
That's that Irish in you, I think. There's alcohol in it. We'll take that.
Anyway, getting back on task. Another symptom or sign is unexpected med requests. So, like, you just walk into your doctor, I'm like, I need some fucking Vicodin. I mean, just...
The alcohol's not doing it anymore.
Yeah. So
I need to mix it with something.
Right. Like, I just need something to get me by. Another one is poor nutrition and personal neglect, like whether that be childcare or yourself.
True.
Yeah.
Dirty feet.
Right. So do you have any unexpected med responses, Eric?
Unexpected med responses?
Right.
Or
like, do you go to the doctor and you're like, hey, I need some...
I don't go to the doctor.
Percocet?
Yeah, I want Percocet.
He's allergic to Percocet.
The one time I had that, you want to hear a funny story? It's sinus surgery, and they gave me Percocet for after the fact.
For pain.
Mm-hmm. And I think it was maybe the second, maybe third dose. I don't remember how many I had, but it was like in the middle of the night when I needed a dose, and you gave it to me. It was, 20 minutes. My ass was not just my ass, my whole body just itching like mad. So then I got the idea that I was allergic to that, and as it was wearing off, it was feeling better, but then the pain was increasing. And I got it in my head that I'll be able to deal with it. Pain isn't that bad. I don't want to be itching like that because it's just uncomfortable. And that didn't last too long.
Right.
That pain started getting overbearing. It was like, okay, I'll deal with the itching. But that wasn't very good either, and you ended up giving me some different meds.
Well, because that all happened in your head. You didn't tell me any of that. All
No, I
I
did not.
knew is like 2 days later is I had to literally like heft you onto my back and help you to the bathroom every time you needed to go pee.
Right.
I mean, I did everything except hold your penis to go pee.
Yeah, that would have freaked me out.
And that's why I called the provider, because I was like, you know what? Something's going on here. I mean, he should be able to walk, you know?
Right. Oh, it was awful.
It's sinus surgery. His legs are not broken. So
Yeah. But any of those narcotics, after I had some wisdom teeth pulled, I had that Vicodin, and I just don't
You
like the way
hated
that
it.
stuff makes you feel.
I love Vicodin.
Oh, even the Percocet, I could have got ran over by a truck and not cared.
I remember I hurt
but
my
I was
back.
itching, so that bothered me.
I hurt my back so bad that I could barely walk, and I took Vicodin. I was sitting at work going, oh my God, I can feel the pain, but I just don't fucking care. I loved it. Loved it.
Now, if there's talking on, narcotics, a Flexerol, I like that. Because when I injured my back and they gave me Flexerol for that, oh my gosh, it got your muscles to relax.
That's a muscle relaxer.
Right. Oh, that I didn't mind. That didn't. And here's the thing. It didn't fuck with my brain.
Yep. Because you don't like it when you lose control of your
God,
mental.
I can't stand that.
That's the thing, is he doesn't like to lose control.
No, not of my brain. I want my brain working. Yeah, that's interesting.
I think that's probably a difference of you and anybody that's into alcohol.
That's probably
It's
a
like
very strong
you
aspect.
want to be cognitively functionable. That's not even a real word. Cognitive functional.
Cognitively?
You want to have that control.
I do. I want to
I
experience
don't want to
what's
have that
going on.
control.
I don't know.
Because I have it all the time.
It doesn't make sense to me. So, but in comparison, so do I, because that's the way I want to be. So,
But it makes me
I
feel
don't understand that.
uptight
Okay.
and like anal retentive and angry.
I'm probably very anal retentive, OCD.
Right.
but
I'm all
yet
that.
I want to be that.
And that's what I mean. I don't want to be that. And so my only answer to that is like, I'll have a couple of drinks and then all of a sudden I'm funny because I'm more relaxed.
But then 2 turns into 6 and then to 27 and
20. I've never had 27 drinks. Just saying. All right. Going on here. Let's go into the next one that I mentioned. The poor nutrition and personal neglect. Right. When you're drinking, you make poor nutritional choices. That's for sure. I only crave Taco Bell, Taco John's, or McDonald's. Those are the 3 things that I crave when I'm drinking.
oddly enough, even when I'm intoxicated, I do not want something that's going to make me feel bad.
That's because you have such a low sodium tolerance now.
Right.
I cook for this man all the time. We have almost zero, not quite, but almost zero sodium in your diet.
Yeah, the natural sodium, it never affects me. And if you add anything, it's got to be so minute that it's... Sometimes I taste it and I can't tell if it's natural or added, but it's on a very low level.
Let's do this on air tonight. What'd you think about the broccolini tonight? Or broccolini. Sorry, broccolini.
The broccolini, it was hard to taste some stuff in there because of the way it was baked. It was a little crisp, I don't want to use the word burnt.
It was roasted.
But it was roasted, yeah. And so that hides a lot of flavor, roasting does, when you get some char in there. But it wouldn't surprise me if, and I don't know there was soy sauce in it, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was something along those lines in there.
Would it surprise you to know that I used a natural Himalayan salt to sprinkle over it, and that's all I used?
I knew there was a salt in it, but I didn't know where from.
It's not the sodium, that you find in like the regular salt shaker. It was just the natural Himalayan sea salt. And just a sprinkle of it. And that's the only thing I added to it.
Well, let's be clear for listeners. Sea salt, table salt, it all comes from the sea. Mm-hmm. Himalayan, it's salt from the sea, whatever it came from. I could taste that there was some salt to it. I just didn't know.
But it
where
wasn't
was from.
overprocessed, and it didn't give you a headache.
No, it didn't.
Right.
And what I have been... getting off of the alcohol thing to the salt thing for myself is I try to keep it less than, I guess, at a high number, 100 milligrams a serving. If it's below that, I have found that usually I just feel tension in my head. It doesn't get to a headache. But above that, it's like a wishy-washy. I don't want to take the gamble. And if it's around like 40, it's probably not going to matter. But if it's 40 in 4 potato chips, well, there's no point because I'm going to eat 8, maybe 12, right. And that's a problem.
Right.
So, yeah, and junk food is just junk food. I don't want to eat that shit either.
Well, I crave McDonald's almost every day. Not because of alcohol, just because I fucking love McDonald's. Their French fries, seriously. I know people go to restaurants and they're like, yeah, I want French fries. Bullshit. Fucking suck my dick. No. The only French fries in the world, in my opinion, are McDonald's fries. So do I crave shitty food? Yes. But like that's not just when I'm drunk all the time.
Patrick's makes some awesome fries. They
do make good fries, but they're still not McDonald's.
I like fries when you just take a potato, cut it up, put it in the oven. That's good. That shit, whatever McDonald's does to what was supposed to be potato, I don't know, but not
whatever. I don't care if they pulverize it. I don't care if they throw it against the wall. I fucking love it.
Little anal leakage going on.
I don't even need to know because I don't want to know. I love it.
I just want them.
And Patrick's literally is the closest thing to McDonald's fries that we've come to.
That is really good fries.
Really good fries, but they're still not McDonald's fries.
Minnesota people, Patrick's in Maple Grove, fabulous restaurant.
Yes. Go there immediately.
Great, authentic French food. And
the desserts, oh my god! Oh. You have to look at the desserts. It's literally like a wall of art.
It is. It is. Aside from being a wall of art, it is like walking a path of artwork.
Yes,
it's like a museum that you're looking under glass.
And I think we've had every single dessert.
I think so. There's probably a couple that we haven't yet.
Because they're out of it by the time we get there, like the Napoleon. And the coffee eclair, which they say don't sell anymore.
We had some special made coffee ones, remember?
No. There's that alcoholism blockage right there.
Yes.
No.
Our younger son, Josh, had the chefs make us some coffee eclairs just for us. They were made fresh that morning, and he brought them to us that night. Because we wanted them. They don't typically make them.
The filling tasted like chocolate.
No, okay. It was a mocha.
It's a mocha. All right. And I have to say to the personal neglect, I think I do the personal neglect part, like with my hair and whatever, just because I work from home. So why do I need to do my hair? But I have that. But I think I have an excuse.
For double reasons, but pasting it on another reason for another purpose, that might be. But
if I was going to work, I don't think I would have that issue.
But you feel better when you just put yourself together. I do feel better
when I put myself together.
So home or not, it'd be an easier habit to do if there was another purpose driving.
So I may or may not have that issue because when I go to work, I take care of myself.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Another sign is frequent falls or minor trauma.
Well, you did fall the other day.
That was on ice.
Well, maybe if you weren't consuming so much alcohol, you would have gained your balance.
That's nice. The entire parking lot was pure ice. You're a dick.
I shoveled the snow the other day and didn't fall, so.
I shoveled the snow 3 days in a row and I didn't fall. I just fell at the ranch.
You shoveled a sidewalk. I shoveled driveways.
I shoveled the driveway too. Then you got on the fucking four-wheeler and plowed it.
Well.
How are you going to slip on that and fall down?
I could have had a serious accident.
If you were an alcoholic, maybe. Accidents, burns, violence, and suicide is the next sign.
Well, sorry.
Oh boy.
The cat's attacking my foot.
Ooh, Archer?
Yeah.
He wants your attention.
Oh, apparently so.
Go pay attention to the cat. No.
Well, I haven't had any burns or any whatever the hell else you just described there that I know of. Mm-hmm. Violence, I've done that without alcohol. So.
Right. Me too.
Whole different situation, but
And suicide, no. Just
nothing
not
to do
my
with
bag of
alcohol,
tea.
no, yeah.
No, it's not. So the other one is recurrent
depression, maybe.
absenteeism from work or school.
Absenteeism.
Sorry, yes, absenteeism.
She's on her second bottle of wine. I'm on my first.
Not bottle. No, I just wrote it wrong. So I read what I wrote, and that was a mistake. From work or school. So, do you have recurrent absences from work or school because of you're hungover?
Bite my fucking
So
toes.
fucking address him.
He's attacking my foot underneath the foot of the table.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Because he wants your attention.
Oh no, he thinks my toes are alive.
No, he doesn't. Archer, stop it.
So this is interesting. Now I've mentioned this more than once. Local radio host Tom Bernard. He had talked about this publicly, so I'll mention it here.
Can I do my last syndrome because it has nothing to do with that?
Okay, sure.
The last sign syndrome
sure.
or whatever is spontaneous abortion or child with alcohol syndrome.
Spontaneous abortion. Just all of a sudden it comes out.
Right. No, just spontaneously you decide.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead about Tom now.
Okay, so way back he publicly admitted that he felt he had a drinking problem, so he was quitting drinking. And when he went in to a well-known establishment for chemical dependency here in Minnesota called Hazelden.
Everybody should know.
Everybody should know that place, yeah. They are
People in
local.
California know Hazelden.
Right, they're local, but they do have several places around the U.S. Fantastic place. I did work there for a while as a contractor. And
Well, you did
they're
their
great.
medical EHR.
Yeah, I did. I was the build team.
Just you, which I know, just you.
That was a good time. But anyway, he talked about their evaluation that they did off the start, and one of the questions was if you miss work and stuff like that. And he's like, "No, I've never missed work." Well, through the entire evaluation, the intake evaluation, they finally got done with it and go, "Why are you even here?" Because you never missed. He was never irresponsible with anything, and because of their evaluation, they said, "Well, you don't need to be here." But he still felt that he had an issue with alcohol, and it ended up being more of an anger issue that was aggravated by alcohol. And I think he's been 1, maybe 2 years out. Mm-hmm. His anger is much, much better. He did get help with that as well. But he admits without alcohol, life is boring. He can't tolerate being in certain situations because the alcohol helped cope with the situation of stupidity. But at the same time, he does feel much better. He goes, those other things that would have been more tolerable, didn't need them. It's okay. It's not that he wouldn't be willing participant of them. It's just like, yeah, it isn't worth having to do that to be able to tolerate this. So, yeah, it was interesting that you had pointed out there.
Yeah. So let me go over some of the symptoms here.
No, yeah.
Some of the symptoms are recurrent intoxication, nausea, sweating, tachycardia. Tachycardia is like heart palpitations.
Being tachycardic is high heart rate.
Thank you. High heart rate. Being amnesiac. Episodes like blackouts. Mood swings, depression, anxiety, insomnia, and chronic fatigue. That one kind of describes me all around. Then they had the grand mal seizures. Grand mal, sorry.
I knew you knew it.
Mal, I did know it. Seizures, hallucinations, delirium, tremors.
You have tremors.
I do not have tremors. I do not.
The DTs after
and there's
4 hours.
You'll have to help me with this one, honey. The dysphagia?
Dysphagia?
Dysphagia, all right. Diarrhea, bloating, hermatitis.
It sounds familiar, but I can't remember the correct way.
Hermatotis? And then jaundice, of course, which is liver failure.
Yeah, that would be a serious problem.
So again, with the tremors, we have the unsteady gait. Paresthesis? I don't even know what that is. Memory loss and erectile dysfunction. Dysfunction, yes. Those are the symptoms.
Those are symptoms. Mm-hmm. So, ladies, if your penis isn't getting erect, he has a problem.
They also say that...
or you do, I guess.
And I should say that this is from the American Family Physicians, which is the AAFP.org. That's where this information is coming from. They say nearly all alcoholics have comorbid psychologic disorder or psychotic disorder. Most commonly anxiety... Huh?
They classify them as psychotics.
Psychotic.
Wow.
Yep, psychological, maybe.
Sure.
Yep, disorder. Most commonly anxiety and mood disorders in women and antisocial disorder in men.
So an alcoholic woman is even bitchier if they were just bitchy in the first place.
Well, it's anxiety and mood, so I don't know
mood,
how
yeah.
bitchy.
Stressed out bitchy. That's a bad combo, man. Interesting. I'm trying to make it funny.
It is funny.
Okay.
So notice that safe drinking is like 2 drinks per day in men is normal. And 1 drink per day in women is normal. And 1 drink is either 12 ounces of beer or 5 ounces of wine or 1.5 ounces of spirits.
Sure. And that's the logic of the typical drink servings.
Right.
So you're about, 7-8 months ahead?
Probably.
Okay.
Right.
That's just from the last week?
Probably.
Starting at the year, beginning of the year. As we went back further, you're probably about 7-8 years ahead.
Yeah, because Eric likes to classify me as an alcoholic. Yeah.
Slightly.
Slightly. Now it's slightly.
Well, I'm trying to make it soft. Well, something I think you probably have more notes to talk about, but just to flip it over a little bit on some stuff that I found. And keep in mind, I'll remind folks that our research for alcoholism, and I kid you not, was probably at a safe guesstimate 25, 30 minutes.
Maybe less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had my shit printed off in about 12 minutes. Mm-hmm. And then I was dicking around with some other crap while Jen was still taking notes. She was handwriting some stuff before she started printing. Before I get into some other stuff here, let's do a few more test questions.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. Do you sometimes feel a little guilty about your drinking?
Yes.
And that's a no for me.
Yep.
Has a family member or close friend expressed concern or complained about your drinking?
Yes, you.
Yes, I could answer that for you. Have you been having more memory blackouts recently?
No.
Yeah, I don't think you get that inebriated. Do you often want to continue drinking after your friends say they've had enough?
No.
You don't want to keep drinking?
No.
Even though I say
if they say I'm done,
you don't want to keep drinking.
I'm thinking more like a social thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you usually have a reason for the occasions when you drink heavily?
Yes.
Okay.
Like holidays.
Not me. I don't normally drink heavily, and when I do, it's the whole bottle, which ain't that big a deal. When you're sober, do you sometimes regret things you did or said while drinking?
Yes.
I don't regret a damn thing, drunk or not. Have you tried switching brands or drinks? Let me start that over so it sounds right. Have you tried switching brands or drinks or following different plans to control your drinking?
No.
I would disagree with that, but have you sometimes failed to keep promises you made to yourself, about controlling or cutting down on your drinking?
Yes.
Have you ever had a DWI, driving while intoxicated,
No.
or a DUI, driving
Nope.
under the influence of alcohol violation, or any other legal problem related to your drinking?
Oh, well then, yes. Careless driving, alcohol related.
Started different, ended favorable. Are you having more financial, work, school, and or family problems as a result of your drinking? No for both of us. Has your physician ever advised you to cut down on your drinking?
No.
Well, you need to go to one first.
I do.
Do you eat very little or irregularly during the periods when you are drinking?
Yes.
Well, I don't drink enough to be having periods of drinking. Do you sometimes have the shakes in the morning and find that it helps to have a little drink, tranquilizer, or medication of some kind?
No.
All right, there's a few questions left. We'll save those for a little later.
Okay.
So something that I'll read off here from the website is medicinenet.com / there's a bunch of underscores here I'm not going to fucking read off. Alcohol abuse and alcoholism / article.htm. You Google it, you'll find it. I think this one I only printed off a few sporadic pages. Alcohol use disorders facts. Title here, alcohol abuse. I'll just read you what it says here.
Yes.
Alcohol abuse and dependence now both include under the diagnosis of alcohol use disorder is a disease that is characterized by the sufferer having a pattern of drinking excessively despite the negative effects of alcohol on the individual's work, medical, legal, educational, and or social life. It may involve a destructive pattern of alcohol use that includes a number of symptoms, including tolerance to or withdrawal from the substance, using more alcohol and or for a longer time than planned,
Okay.
and trouble reducing its use. Alcohol abuse on the less severe end of the alcohol use disorder spectrum. That's an interesting comment right there. They're saying the abuse is less severe than having the disorder, as being classified by this website.
Which I would agree with.
Sure, it makes some sense. You're just abusing it. You overuse it, I guess I would say sporadically versus having the disorders consistent.
Well,
thing.
it's a symptom of having the disorder.
Sure, okay. That seems fair. Alcohol abuse on the less severe end of the alcohol use disorder spectrum affects about 10% of women and 20% of men in the United States, most beginning by their mid-teens. That information you found at another location, the 15 to 19, I think you said? Yeah. Signs of alcohol intoxication include the smell of alcohol in the breath or skin, glazed or bloodshot eyes, the person being unusually passive or argumentative, and or a deterioration in the person's appearance or hygiene. I think some of that is probably some serious extreme.
Yes.
If that's kind of a double take there.
Because I know a lot of people that are actual alcoholics that don't exhibit any of that.
Right. That's what I mean. I
Right.
think this is somebody that just
It's
not
to
stop
the
ever drinking.
extreme. Yes.
Right.
Basically,
That's
they don't
worse.
care anymore,
Right. Yeah.
and they're just on a self-destructive cycle.
Yep. They're going down the drain. There are, I will tell you from what I printed off on this, I have 3 pages. I didn't realize it would come out into 3 pages of points, and I'm not going to read them all. I'll read off a couple more of this one. Alcohol, especially when consumed in excess, can affect teens, women, men, and the elderly quite differently. I think that's pretty logical. People understand that. There are thought to be 5 stages of alcoholism. The more severe end of the alcohol use disorder spectrum. I'm not quite sure what that statement is even implying. It seems obvious at this point. There is no amount of alcohol intake that has been proven to be generally safe during pregnancy. Well, if you don't know that, you're a fucking idiot. I will tell you, I'm not going to mention any names here, but we know of somebody who consumed alcohol and smoked during their entire pregnancy. From what we can ascertain by personal observation, the infant is fine.
Several people that did that.
Sure. And without a doubt, you went back generations from our parents. It was happening all the time. Mm-hmm. Probably had a few issues, but not a lot. Not to say it's a good thing, but the possibilities exist, so it's not a good idea. You know, if you want this child to have any hope in the world, it's probably best not to start him off with a fucking problem.
And I understand that. I understand, like, the basis that you're coming from, but I also have to say, with all of the things that I've seen and I've known, none of the cases of the people that I knew that did it, like, ended up with the alcohol child or the
retard baby.
Right.
To put it harshly.
Never, right. I mean, I think the worst came from it is like somebody that was smoking came up with 2 asthmatic babies. So don't smoke.
Sure. Well, a former in-law, I will tell you, was advised by her physician in the last trimester of one of her pregnancies to smoke to keep the baby weight down.
Oh, holy shit.
And the reason being is because at that point they anticipated the growth for this child or infant to be born at about 13 pounds. And he was about 12 and a half, I think.
I was only 6.
Really? That's a little baby.
I was 6.5.
You know who this person is.
I do.
And all of her babies were huge.
Right. So Matt? Is that who it was?
No. I can't remember if it was the last or the second to the last. It wasn't the first. He was a big boy too.
Okay.
They were all huge. I think the smallest one was 11 and a quarter. And the largest was 13 and a half or something like that. They were huge.
To make sure
to try to keep the baby weight down. It's
Is he asthmatic? Did you ever find that out?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right.
None of them are. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'll read one more from this list. That would be it's the last one here. With treatment, about 70% of people with alcoholism are able to decrease the number of days they consume alcohol and improve their overall health status within 6 months. So there is hope. But that, I think, leads back to the beginning when we were talking about, or what your point was being, that it's not a disease. It's just a disorder change things. And whether you want to view that as a habitual change or some mental perspective, whatever it is,
the fact is that
changeable.
You can change it.
Yes,
so that's
absolutely.
why it's not a disease or a disorder.
Right.
Or, sorry, dysfunction. It is a disorder because you can change it.
One of the morning show guys here locally on KQRS is Dave Mordahl, who is a recovering alcoholic, and he's got a very strong position of that as well. He disagrees with it being a disease, and he admits in some of the stories he had, which you can go back and listen to their podcast. It might be months back, so you might be listening in a while, but admits that he had it bad. It was not a good situation for him, and it just came to a realization that I can't handle doing this. This is not something I can manage, and I need to stop, or it's going to be the death of me. Pretty much is what he was saying. That's verbatim. It wasn't his words, but and that's what got him to realize he needed to change. He had children, he had a family, and he needed to take care of that. And that aspect of his life was not enabling him to do that. Even though he, to this day, wants to drink. He just knows he can't handle doing it. So it just can't be something he can even just mildly manage. It has to be absent. And from today, February 5th, 2016, this broadcast on that morning show, one of the things they were talking about was with their guest, that I can't remember his name. Again, something that produced our desire to do this podcast today was the fact that the alcoholics, their brain function to things, or the way the thought process. When this guest came on and he was told by his physician that if he didn't stop drinking he was going to die, his first thought was, I can't go to France, because he associated going to France with drinking alcohol. And people of the morning show didn't. One person, Terry Train, she didn't understand why would you think that? You could still go. And Dave had to explain that's not the way you think as an alcoholic. You can't go, because when you go, you want to be drinking there because there's awesome wine there. So that's a loss for you. And later on, when you learn to cope with that, you understand, I can still go to the bar, I can go out to eat, I can go with my drinking friends. I just know I can't do that part of it because I can't control that in my life. So that is dangerous. So that was really the point of it. And to the point you were making earlier, that's that disorder, that thought process is really what it's about, that habit that needs to change, going, I can't control this, so I can't be part of it.
But it's been proven time and time again that it can be changed.
Right. And if the change is absence, then that's what the change is. It's just that simple. But I had a few more print-offs, a single page that I had that I'll go on alcoholism and alcohol abuse. I'm sure you have more stuff. For most adults, moderate alcohol use is probably not harmful. However, about 18 million adult Americans have an alcohol use disorder. This means that their drinking causes distress and harm. It includes alcoholism and alcohol abuse. This is coming from the nlm.nih.gov/medline plus/alcoholism.
I can't trust that. It's from the government.
And alcoholabuse.html. So you can look this one up. Alcoholism or alcohol dependency is a disease that causes, bullet point, craving, strong need to drink, loss of control, not being able to stop drinking once you've started, physical dependency, withdrawal symptoms, tolerance, the need to drink more alcohol to feel the same effect. I'm going to skip down a couple of entries here. I only printed off the first of 10 pages of this
but
website.
I only want you to go so far because I actually have a 4-list page of...
I'm going to do these two little bits and then we're going to go to yours. Another common problem is it's binge drinking. It is drinking about 5 or more drinks in 2 hours for men. For women, it's about 4 or more drinks in 2 hours. Now, if I'm going to address the men-women thing here in a minute because that made a good point. But the last thing I'll read from this website is, if you want to stop drinking, there is help. Start by talking to your healthcare provider. Treatment may include medicines, counseling, and support groups. The men-women thing, understand if you don't grasp that difference, you can go to the sexism bullshit and you're just fucking lying to yourself. The bottom line is the metabolism of men to women is different, number one. Number two, you've got a hormone difference. Guys, obviously, testosterone is up a little bit higher. Females, the estrogen, thank you, it is a lot higher. And that, of course, does relate to muscle mass, also relates to metabolism.
Yeah, it's just a physiological.
Right, it's just a physiological thing, and it's just the way that it is. And if you find a guy that can't drink as much as you as a female, it isn't because he can't handle it, because he's a pussy. He doesn't handle it because he's just not a drinker. So maybe you drink too much.
I just kind of equate it to their pussy.
Right. And so, I mean, it's obvious. I guess my point to that is you're going to run into situations where there's a guy that can't handle drinking as much as a woman. I guess between you and myself, you could drink probably a half a case of wine and be just fine. If I drank that, I would probably be asleep by the third bottle because there's just no way I can manage that. And it's because I don't drink as much or as often as you do. Is probably a better way to put it.
Honestly, in my younger years, like we used to get into competitions like that, I've never met a male they can drink me under the table.
Right. And we can get back to that
Right,
biology,
and that's just
that
the
Irish thing.
genetics and the biology.
The genetics.
Exactly.
I shouldn't phrase it as the Irish thing. I should just phrase it more as the genetics.
Genetics, exactly. Sure. It doesn't happen. So no, I get it. I totally get it.
Excuse me. I mean, I'm on my last few swallows of this one bottle. My lips are so numb. I'm sure I sound like a doofus here, but.
So can I go on with my little checklist here? Because I actually have a 4...
Before we hit your checklist, let's finish this test.
Okay.
And then we'll do your thing.
Fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go.
It's like a half a dozen questions here. Okay. Have you recently noticed that you can't drink as much as you used to?
No.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever changed for you.
No.
Do you sometimes stay drunk for several days at a time?
No.
I tell you, you get to that stage and it's done.
Seriously.
After periods of drinking, do you sometimes see or hear things that aren't there? Mm-mm. Now, I'm going to put no for that, but let me tell you something. It isn't like that doesn't happen on a normal basis. All of a sudden you hear shit and what the fuck is that? You just don't know what the hell it was.
But that's because you have a ghost following you.
Right. I mean, to me, this question it just seems a little off unless
it's
you
kind of hallucinogenic.
Right.
Right.
So it's kind of strange.
But Eric has a ghost that actually follows him, and I can say that with 100% certainty. Certainty.
They all follow me. Everybody follows me. If you haven't figured it out yet, people. It's making me laugh. Have you ever gone to anyone for help about your drinking?
No.
Do you ever feel depressed or anxious before, during, or after periods of heavy drinking?
Yes.
Last question. Have any of your blood relatives ever had a problem with alcohol?
Yes.
And for me,
can you put like times 20?
Yes. Okay, so that is the final question of this test, and it's an online test. So really, you need to go online to fill this out to get the results of the assessment of your responses to the questions. So unfortunately, I can't give you the responses Jen would have to her answers.
I'm an alcoholic, is what it says. I'm pretty sure.
I'm thinking it's going to come back with there's a lot of concerns for a lot of your answers.
Very concerned.
I can tell you from my results, I had one question that came back as a yes, and the result said, we have one concern in your answers.
Yeah,
well,
so
I
this
would
is
assume it's the yes.
The extremely liberal test is what I would say.
And I'm guessing. I am going to stress, I am guessing. The yeses you have here are probably issues. But, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go on to my little test, which is only 4 questions.
Okay.
I said 4 pages earlier, and I meant 4 questions.
Oh, good.
It's basically a recurrent pattern of substance abuse within, like, the 12-month period is what they're asking, like, within the last 12 months.
So a 1-year span of your consumption
habits. If you have
habits.
2 or more of the following. Number 1 is failure to fulfill major role obligations at work or school or home, etc. Okay? I would say no to that.
Yeah.
Okay?
I judge as no.
Recurrent substance abuse where hazardous driving and operating machinery was involved. I would say no.
Well, is a kitchen knife machinery?
I don't think that's classified as machinery.
Right, but it is a dangerous piece of equipment.
Yeah. Are you talking about me or you?
I've cut wood drunk. I know I have.
Within the last 12 months?
I don't know that. But and if I'm going to be honest, I am positive under the rules of what impairment would be, not necessarily the blowing a .08 thing, but impairment. I've operated a vehicle in a state in which I probably shouldn't have. Being tested, probably well within under the legal limit, but just knowing myself, probably shouldn't have done it.
But it's a recurrent event.
Recurrent, no.
Okay. Me neither.
Yeah, and that's just personal judgment, so I'm not admitting to a crime in any way, shape, or form.
So, continued abuse despite having persistent or social interpersonal problems caused by effects to substance.
No, I don't think I have.
I would say yes for me.
For you? Okay.
Because it's basically caused or exasperated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So read the question again.
Continued abuse despite having persistent or social or interpersonal problems caused or exasperated, which I will say by effect of alcohol.
Yeah, I won't put a pinpoint on it, but I think there was probably 2 events resulting in concerns from yourself on family interaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess 2 is too many, but that's just those things. There's probably a few other things maybe you're addressing in there as well. Okay.
So that's like a number 1 for me. And then number 4 is craving or strong urge / desire to use. Do you have that?
That's a tough one to answer.
It is tough.
Because I can tell you there are some of the red wines that we've had that, the flavor is amazing. But if I go by that, I really like the taste of coffee too. So, right. And I'll have coffee every day, but I won't have wine every day. And I think it's because I also know the effects of that. So I don't want to, but even though the flavor is good. So I don't know. I would have to say, no, that's not an issue for me. But mentally I could say that, ooh, yeah, it sounds great. I would just say no to the desire to it though.
I could say that for me, it's a yes.
Okay. There's even beer for me. There's some beers since...
we haven't had beer in so long. But that's what I mean, is I have cravings.
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, I have a strong urge to drink a fucking beer tonight.
Right.
So I can't negate that.
Right. When we've been to places to try a good beer that we've had in the past, like, oh, fuck, I haven't had that for so long. I have one like, oh my gosh, that tastes so good. I know,
like, when we go up north, we go to Canal Park Brewery now. But I have to say, I can't wait to go back to Fitzger's because I want to try that fucking Hercules again. I mean, I have strong urges. So, yeah, I guess I have 2 or more of the following, which would make me an alcoholic, dependent on this www.healthcommunities.com. Yes. They say moderate drinking for men is between 4 and 14 drinks per week.
Wait a minute. How many? Say that one more time. 4 and 14?
4 to 14 drinks per week is moderate for men.
That's a hell of a range.
But for women, it's way reduced, and I go way beyond this.
Right. I think
it's 3 to 7 for women.
I think we swap that. We reverse that. Averaged week to week. Is what's a bottle of wine? That's about 3 glasses, or is it 4 in a bottle? I think it's 4. 4.
But we share it with 2 because me and Cheryl.
Well, that's also a big bottle, so that's like 2 in 1.
Right.
So for me, though, 1 bottle a week is
4
hitting
glasses.
The female limits and minimal of men.
Yep.
Now, drinking it all in one sitting, is that a good plan? Probably not. I'm not going to have it go to shit the next day.
Well, so then they talk about having what indicates risk, right? So have you ever felt that you should cut down on your drinking? Yes.
For me, no.
No, you did once. Because you came back with some bad labs.
Oh, yeah. There was some labs that were really high, and I think that was like in the summer, and there was probably 1 day in that summer I didn't consume a beer. Mm-hmm. It's like, I might want to change that habit. But I didn't feel I had an issue with it because it was reduced immediately. It was a piece of cake. It was no problem.
Okay. So have people annoyed you by criticizing your drinking?
Annoyed me? No.
Me, yes.
I don't think I've ever been criticized for my drinking.
Because of you.
Okay. I've criticized Jen of her drinking. I will admit that.
He was really mad at me one night, and he just turns to me and says, "You're a fucking alcoholic."
Oh, God. Let's be clear. I'm never mad about anything.
You were pissed off that night.
I was trying to make a point, and I was rudely pushed back against. So I'm like, fine, here it is bluntly.
Which, i.e., means that you're mad.
I didn't have any feelings of anger or madness.
No, you just wanted to get me back. Like, you guys
that's
don't
what it was.
understand. No,
Vindictive, okay.
you don't understand it. Like, the vindictiveness. I know you talk about that, and you're really not vindictive, but I have to tell you that when we first started dating, I would tickle him under his ribs, and he'd be like, hee hee, but then he'd have to tickle me twice as hard, and one hee hee from me wasn't good enough. He'd have to make me piss my pants in order for him to be satisfied.
That's the way it goes.
That's just how men work. I get it. I get it. Okay, so let's go on. Have you ever felt bad or guilty about your drinking? Me, yes.
I'd say per episode, maybe a couple of times. Like
when you told me you love me?
Maybe.
Maybe. Because that was the first time you told me you loved me.
He was drunk.
He was drunk. He was climbing up the stairs. Climbing. Because he couldn't stand. He's like, "You know I love you, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, motherfucker." Did you feel guilty about that?
I don't think I felt guilty.
All right. So, have you ever had an eye opener, which is a drink in the morning, first thing, to steady your nerves or get rid of a hangover?
I have never had a drink in the morning for those reasons. I've had Kahlua in my coffee just because it tastes good. And only did like one glass of those. Or maybe I had two, but it was just, it was like not even a full shot just to put the flavor in there. Mm-hmm. But never for a purpose like that.
Okay. I had it once, and that was the worst hangover in my life. Because I heard the hair of the dog made you felt better. And so I had like it was piss water. It was probably like Michelob Light or something like that. I drank it and I instantly vomited and I was like, never again. And I never have again.
Oh gosh, that's so amazing. This will make you feel better. Get drunk a little more.
Right. And so I was totally expecting it to like take the hangover away, and it literally did not. It just made me more dehydrated or more miserable. No.
That is so
not
funny.
okay.
So one of the last printouts I have is from Wikipedia.org, and it's /wiki, WIKI /alcoholism. So let's just be clear, Wikipedia is not always the exact best thing, but I just took a couple of little pages out of Wikipedia. The early signs was the thing that triggered me, and that's like the fourth page in.
Good topic.
The risk of alcohol dependence begins at low levels of drinking and increases directly with both the volume of alcohol consumed and a pattern of drinking larger amounts on an occasion. Young adults are particularly at risk. The long-term misuse alcoholism is characterized by an increased tolerance to the physical dependence on alcohol, affecting an individual's ability to control consumption. These characteristics play a role decreasing an alcoholic's ability to stop drinking. Alcoholism can have adverse effects on mental health, causing psychiatric disorders and increasing the risk of suicide. Depression mode is a common symptom. These have sightings of number 25, 26, and 27, so if you go there, you can look up the sightings for that information. I printed off 3 pages from here. I'm not going to read every damn thing I printed.
Thank you.
But we talked enough about the gender difference. Of alcohol availability, alcohol is the most available and widely abused substance. Beer alone is the world's most widely consumed alcoholic beverage. It is the third most popular drink overall, after water and tea. Now, that is impressive. Water, tea, beer.
Right, not cocoa.
Wow. That's amazing. I never would have
literally,
thought
what
that.
else is there? No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, where the hell's coffee? So, it is thought by some to be the oldest fermented beverage. From what I understand, they had that in ancient Egypt. They actually made beer in ancient Egypt, and I don't remember. I heard that in a fucking movie somewhere or some shit.
I think, I'm not sure what they called it in Egypt, but in the Middle Ages, they called it mead.
Okay, that's right.
Which is like a honey.
Yep. It was an
wine
alcohol-based,
fermented.
an alcoholic substance, fermentation.
Had it at the Renaissance. You hated it.
So, the last thing I will read from this, and I'll encourage readers to go and check this data out themselves, but the last thing I'm going to read is diagnosis. Definition: misuse, problem use, abuse, and heavy use refer to improper use of alcohol, which may cause physical, social, or moral harm to the drinker.
Check, check, and check. Let's go.
Number 87, citing. Moderate use is defined by the Dietary Guidelines for Americans as no more than 2 alcoholic beverages a day for men, no more than 1 alcoholic beverage a day for women. Number
Surpassed.
88. Some drinkers may drink more than 600 mils of alcohol per day during a heavy drinking period.
This is a European, though, so what is 600 mils?
Well, this bottle is 750.
Mils.
Yeah, a bottle of wine. Now, I'm going to double check this if I can find it quickly on the label. Yes, this is 1 bottle of wine is 750 mils. That means I just had a heavy drinking day.
And I can't say that I drink that every day, but okay.
Right, and if we took that big bottle, I don't know how big that bottle is that you guys split typically, but
it's a giant bottle.
right,
But
I think
we don't actually go through it every day.
But now that's between the two of you. That doesn't mean one of you doesn't consume half or better.
Which is probably me, but okay.
Quite possibly.
All right.
Here we go. Some drinkers may drink more than this. I read that part. The National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, the NIAAA, the NIAAA, defines binge drinking as the amount of alcohol leading to a blood alcohol content, BAC, of 0.08, which for most adults would be reached by consuming 5 drinks for men or 4 for women over a 2-hour period, according to the NIAAA.
I can't say I do that.
Men may be at risk for alcohol-related problems if their alcohol consumption exceeds 14 standard drinks per week or 4 drinks per day, and women may be at risk if they have more than 7 standard drinks per week or 3 drinks per day. And
you do not exceed that.
No, I'll give an example of this week. This is my second bottle of wine this week, and come Sunday, if you start that as being the new week, fine. If you count it as within the 7-day period, I will be drinking on Sunday. Probably, I anticipate consuming 1.5 to 2 bottles myself of wine.
Right.
If we get beer, I might have a couple of those in place of the wine.
Because we're having a party on Sunday,
Right.
so that's the issue.
So I will probably consume more than I typically do.
But you don't do that standardly.
No, I'll go
right.
Weeks, months, and never consume an alcoholic beverage. Mm-hmm. And then I'll have a bottle of wine, which I'll consume the entirety myself. Or if it's one that we share, I'll have half. And then that could be weeks before, or a week later I'll have some more. For me, it's just very, very minimal. I don't think I fall in that category at all.
No, you don't.
Now I remember why I printed this third page off with social barriers, so I will read that, and that'll be all I have. Attitudes and social stereotypes can create barriers to the detection and treatment of alcohol abuse. This is more of a barrier for women than men. Fear of stigmatization may lead women to deny that they are suffering from a medical condition to hide their drinking and to drink alone. This pattern in turn leads family physicians and others to be less likely to suspect that a woman they know is an alcoholic. In contrast, reduced fear of stigma may lead men to admit that they are suffering from a medical condition to display their drinking publicly and to drink in groups. This pattern, in turn, leads family physicians and others to be more likely to suspect that a man they know is an alcoholic. So, yeah, that's the data that I printed off from several sources, and the last one read from Wikipedia. And the test that I had from that other site, the fourth one.
No, because I honestly think you don't have any dependency on alcohol at all.
I don't think that I do.
And this is somebody that has lived with you for the past 16 years. And, well, more than that,
yeah,
right?
More than that.
No.
I would say more than that, yeah.
Wait, have we been married 16 years this year?
I've never been married in my life.
Nice. All right, hang on. No, when did we get married? 2002? It's 2016.
I was married in 1803.
So, do the math, because I can't do it right now.
I have interacted with you for 17 years.
Nice. Interacted with me for 17 years. You've never had a dependency on alcohol.
I wouldn't judge myself as having any kind of dependency on alcohol.
No, I don't think so.
And even some of the things that we had talked about and covered with depression and other issues like that, I've been suicidal. Mm-hmm. I had the gun to my head at one point. Wasn't due to alcohol. It was depression, not alcoholism.
That was scary.
Yeah.
When you told me about that, that was very scary. Yeah.
I can imagine.
And for me, yeah, maybe it is alcoholism. It's in my family. I know it's there. I always question myself. But I don't know if I want to get out of it at this point. Because it's such a social thing with my family. Can I change that and still be the person that they love without that?
I think you can.
I know you think I can, because you're always in my corner, which is, I guess, why we're married.
I guess my point to it is...
My family does not see me the way that you see me.
I disagree.
Okay?
I disagree because they see you who you are because they've known you for who you are without a chemical in you. So it's not that they don't know who you are. I guess if I was to put any kind of judgment to it on a personal note, I think it has to do strongly with self-confidence for yourself on knowing that you still are who you are without a chemical in you. Because you've made the statement that one particular statement that you don't think you're as funny if you're not drinking, and that's not true. That is far from being true.
Because I'm so wound up.
Well, but that's who you are, and
it's
that's
just a wound up asshole. That's who I am.
if we're gonna get to that, I'm a fucking asshole, and I know I'm an asshole.
But I know you're an asshole too. But I love you anyway,
and I admit,
and all my family loves you because you're an asshole.
Right. So how is that a problem for you?
Because my family's not used to me being that asshole.
But see, that's where I disagree, because how else do you think that they know you? They know you as you are, not as a chemically altered individual.
But can I be who I am without that?
That's who you are without that. So that's my point on it is.
But I don't know if I can be that person without.
You are that person without that. It's
but
not.
Can I let that out?
You do.
No, I do not. I do
just,
not. I do that with you.
Well, you do it with everybody.
Everybody else thinks I'm a fucking cunt, and they're right.
I'm an asshole. You're a cunt.
You know.
All we need is a taint, and we're joined, right?
But you know who I am. But how many other people in this life are going to know me as well as you know me and as well as Cheryl knows me?
If it comes down to who knows who and what, my family doesn't really know me.
Right. So why does that not bother you?
Because I know me, and that's all that matters. I know me,
but
and
I really
like
want
who I
my
am.
family to know me and how funny I can be,
They
and I
will.
can't get there without.
I just disagree with that.
And that's what makes me an alcoholic.
When it comes down to it, how are they going to know who you are
if I can't relax? They're not.
Well, it's not even just relaxed, because if you're not relaxed, then you're not relaxed. That's who you are. But if you have to consume any kind of chemical to relax, to think you are who you are, then you no longer
Eric.
are who you are.
All right, Eric. So how tolerable was I on the plane to New York, and the plane to Las Vegas, and the plane to New Mexico?
It didn't bother me that much, but
yes,
now you're adding in.
Did.
Let's just be clear. You're adding in a different stressful situation. Okay, and now if you're going to talk about a disorder, that means, by your definition of something that can be changed and altered. We go to a bar to watch a gig that your dad is playing, which is a phenomenal blues band, by the way. We'll get to at some point in time. I am stressed with anxiety being in that situation. Always. Do I look it? I like to believe I hide it pretty well. Sometimes, well, I think more...
With the leg bouncing?
Yeah, it comes out
sometimes,
in other ways. No. So, yeah, maybe that's not accurate that I hide it well. But I am anxiety-ridden, stressed to the max. And I'm not consuming alcohol, which I know would relax me, calm me down. I know it will. I'm not going to, because I don't want that to have to get me to normal. I accept the condition I am in as normal and just deal with it and move forward. It doesn't matter. Now, if the people around me, like your family, which is the most prominent, have an issue with that, tough shit. This is who I am because this is what I am. There's no way about that. And although I could put a chemical in me to change that, I'm not going to do that to make you feel better about it. Not you, Jen, just other people or anybody around me. Too bad. I want to live with this being my way of having to deal with it. I guess that's my perspective on it.
I get it. But I really like when I can make people laugh.
You do that without a chemical.
I don't think I do.
You do.
I do.
You do.
Okay. I don't feel like I do.
Well, you do.
And I can't cope with flying without some kind of, like, I got an psychotic the last time we flew, but all the warnings, it was like, you can go into seizure, you can die. I was just like, fuck that, I'm drinking. So
well, if the plane crashes, I'm gonna die, and that's what I'm afraid of. So why take the drug?
Right. So I just drank, and we got to New Mexico, and I was like, "Woohoo, motherfucker!"
Well, let's be clear. You drank from here to Atlanta, but from Atlanta on, you were okay.
No,
we went to Arizona. You drank from here to Denver, from Denver to Arizona.
Right.
Right. But to New Mexico, you did much better.
Did I? Because I was pretty fucked up when we got to New Mexico.
No, you were fine. You didn't. You only had like 2 drinks total in the
4.
entire flight process.
It was 4.
You didn't drink when we left here.
But we
drank in
transferred
Atlanta, and you drank one on the plane. That's all you had.
To Arizona?
To New Mexico.
No, New Mexico. I had the 2 free drink tickets.
Yep.
And then I had the 2 free.
No. We didn't have free ones on that flight.
Oh.
You had one at lunch in Atlanta, and then you had one on the flight to New Mexico.
Okay.
For Arizona, you had one that you had to slam before we got on the plane.
And then we had 2 free drink tickets.
Then you had one in Denver.
And then we had 2 free drink tickets.
The 2 to Arizona.
Yeah, so I was pretty trash when
you were ripped, but you did much better in New Mexico's flight than you did on the Arizona flight.
Right. because I was more used to it.
And
And I have to say,
year-
this is coming up because we literally have a flight to Florida
in about a week.
in about a week.
And you're gonna be fine.
I'm still a little freaked out.
You're not going to drink anything
No,
this one.
I will.
No. The goal is
He says I
not to
won't.
drink
I will.
anything.
I'm still going to have
I
one.
say nothing is the goal.
I'm going to have my double tequila with soda water before we go.
Oh, jeez.
So I don't care.
Your $75 drink in the airport.
I don't fucking care. I'm paying for it. We don't share bank accounts. It's awesome.
Well, we're about hour 40 in here. I don't know. Did you have anything else to add?
No, not too much. We could go over the antisocial personality disorder, but I'm kind of thinking at that point it's mute at this
You think
point.
so?
Yeah.
I think we've kind of addressed a few points of it. I don't know if you want to hit a couple points real quick on it. A couple of bullets. I don't know what the sheet is.
I could do some bullets.
Yeah, just a couple of
So
bullets
with
on
the
it.
antisocial personality disorder, because the only reason I found this interesting because it was more prominent with men than it was with women. So it was a disregard for right and wrong. That's not you. Persistent lying or deceit to exploit others. That's not you. Using charm or wit to manipulate others for personal gain or for sheer personal pleasure.
I do that without alcohol.
You do not do that.
No, I don't.
Intense egotistianism, sense of superiority.
Superiority?
There you go, thank you. And exhibitionism.
Exhibition? I'm not showing off. I am superior. And whatever the other one was that you were reading, I'm not part of that, I don't think.
Here's the one that we both, like, recurring difficulties with the law. And I'm not saying that we have, like, interactions with them. I just have difficulties with the law in general.
Legalities.
Right. So maybe that's, like, number, one that we
Some
hit.
rulings.
Right.
Stupidity rulings.
And repeatedly violating the rights of others by the use of imitation, dishonesty, and misrepresentation.
talking.
It is, because I've had a lot at this point. Misrepresentation.
Misrepresentation.
Right. And,
When it comes to the legal things, I will say speeding should not be illegal for me.
me neither. My brain works at that level.
That's right. I had this thought the other day, really quick on that. 99% of people can't fucking drive because their brains don't go fast enough to do 30 miles an hour. And when your brain doesn't do fast enough to do 30, you shouldn't be on a freeway that should be doing fucking 70.
And you motherfuckers in Minnesota, which I live in, I don't care who's listening, you dickheads that can't drive through the fucking snow, go home or move to another state
Don't leave
that doesn't
your
have
home.
fucking snow.
It wouldn't matter if there's air coming out of the sky, which there is, they're going to have a fucking problem.
Then fucking shoot yourself in the head.
Yeah,
That's pretty much how it is.
It's ridiculous. And here's one pet peeve I'll say about driving. The left lane, people, is not for driving in. It's for passing.
Passing.
Pass and get the fuck over.
I had 2 semis in that fucking lane the other day. And they were driving super slow. Everybody else was passing them. I'm like, what the fuck? You guys know the rules of the road.
Right. That is probably something that irritates the piss out of me when a supposed quote-unquote professional driver doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
And this was 2 of them. 2
That's just bullshit.
in a row.
Shoot him in the head. That's my take. Well, I think we covered it pretty well on alcohol stuff. I mean, it's I guess venture to say it's a touchy topic for some people, and here we are talking about it.
But comment. I mean,
Yeah, what's
it
your
doesn't
take on it?
have to be a convoluted conversation.
No,
You know
not
what I
at
mean?
all.
It doesn't have to be something that people hide.
No, I think that if you bring it to somebody's attention that you're concerned about their consumption of any kind of substance, whether it be alcohol or some kind of drug, other drug, I should say, I think the defensiveness that they might project is probably sign number one. There's a problem. If they're not defensive, at least they're open to hear what you're saying. Just maintain constructive criticism and conduct and express your concerns, and it should be okay. It doesn't have to turn into a battle.
It may not even be that. It could be just people that feel maybe I have an issue, but I'm not sure. So, like, comment, like, be honest with it. You know, you be anonymous. It doesn't matter. I mean, talk about it, because not talking about it is only hurting you.
Absolutely. With that, what I'll say is when I did work at Hazelden, one of the people that I guess I would attest to being a mild case of alcoholism, the testimony that she had was she never thought she was an alcoholic, because she would come home from work and take care of her family, never missed work, never not took care of her family, and every night before she went to bed, she had a glass of wine. And she didn't realize she was dependent on that, because without it, she couldn't sleep.
Well, it was pattern drinking.
Right. And
there's several different kinds of drinking as an alcoholic. You can do the pattern drinking, you can do the binge drinking, where all of a sudden you're in party mode, which is what I get into. And I'm like, woohoo, it doesn't even matter. I don't even count. Usually I count how many I have, so I keep track of it on a daily basis. But when people come over that are just like, woo, let's have a party, it doesn't matter anymore. That's binge drinking. That's what I do. So there's several different kinds of alcoholism that people really don't, I guess, aren't talking about enough.
Right.
And they should.
I think there's some crossover, though, because you don't binge drink every day.
No.
But you drink almost every day.
But that's what binge drinking is like, you can have one or two every day, which is the normal, amount.
Normal for females is one.
Right, but your doctor, like Cheryl's doctor, said, okay, you can have 1 to 4 every day, and that's normal. I mean, there's kind of a discrepancy against the medical.
If you got a vagina, lip, and a ball, 1 to 4 is the limit.
Cheryl does not have a vagina, lip, and a ball. She has 2 vagina lips, like I do.
I'm just saying, the 1 to 4, guys is, 2 to 4, women is 1 to 2. So 1 to 4 is kind of combined.
Well, that's in one study that I looked up.
Right. And that is actually a very good point. Depending upon what you read, it's 1 for females, 2 for guys. It's 1 to 3 for females, 2 to 4 for guys. And if we're going to be honest and just be direct and honest, if you're drinking every day because you want to relax or it unwinds you, you're using a chemical for coping, and that's probably not a good thing.
Well, and there's a lot of people that use pot for that.
Right, and that's not a good thing either, in my opinion.
I know. You're totally against drugs and whatever, but
any chemical for coping. It's just it's not a good thing.
Because Eric's a clean motherfucker, but I'm just saying. I mean, there are things people use every day that doesn't exceed what would be called an alcoholic or a drug user. It just, you have to take it into consideration.
Right.
Yep.
So, those definitions most certainly have kind of a sliding scale to them. But you can get as stringent, I guess, as my opinion is, to where if it's being utilized for something other than just a mild level of entertainment.
Or you could be somebody like me that's done the research on several different things and go, you know what, maybe I have an issue.
Right.
Maybe I'm not really ready to quit at this point because of all the social and whatever pressures, but you need to.
Sure.
So eventually it's down the line. Right.
So just in between the two of us,
so down the line.
We've got a scale of going from damn near 0 to 90.
I was going to say
out
60.
Of 100.
In a car. Okay, yeah.
I mean, there's
100. All right, I'm at the 100 point, I guess, not 60.
I mean, just from 0 to 90, we've got a range covered there. And out of 100, there's just this part that's missing. And it's not consistently fully engaging in that range.
Right.
So just between two of us, it's just sliding around in there altogether. It's probably covering a 40-point range. And and it's sliding 50 points left and right.
And you know exactly where you stand, but at the same time, I'm not really sure where I land.
I'll tell you where you fucking land.
Alcoholism. I know. You've said it.
Well, unless you have anything to add, we'll close out here. We're at about an hour 50. Again, we're horrible at keeping this to an hour. So
yes.
We again appreciate all of the people that listen, and we're thankful for your time. As Jen pointed out, make comments if you will. I will stress, be constructive. We don't allow pricks. And now I have to monitor YouTube and Facebook for pricks. I'm an asshole already, admittedly, so we don't need assholes.
But basically, the theme is in the real. So if you're going to be real, awesome.
Real. Absolutely. But be constructive. Don't be a prick about it.
It doesn't even have to be constructive. Just be real about it. I mean, be honest.
Yeah. I guess it just bugs me.
This is a place for honesty.
What bugs me is hiding behind a
computer.
An ID.
Right, exactly. An ID going, oh, you fucking suck. Then make your own fucking goddamn podcast.
Exactly. Stick yourself out there.
Right.
So, well, all right. We'll patch up here. We again appreciate you listening, and hopefully our next podcast will cover our back into the Making a Murder. We've gotten a little busy in the last few days and haven't been able to take some notes on the next 2 episodes. So, and the Super Bowl's coming up. So
maybe Monday.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
If we can get through the Making a Murderer tomorrow, we do 6 and 7.
Right. And we won't be able to podcast tomorrow night, I don't think. But
no, not tomorrow night and not Sunday, but maybe Monday.
Monday, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, great. So we'll be back on it, folks. Stick with us. So, thank you again for your time. Go Super Bowl. I can't say go team because I don't give a shit at this point.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.